What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on the Roots podcast. Today, I have a guest from work again, and I am so glad that she was able to come out today and just have a conversation. So this is Sara.
Hello.
From work.
I feel like the microphone just heard me take a very big gulp.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Anyway, I thought I would invite her on because she's just really cool and great to have conversations with. So yeah, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Sara, like Sayer said. So I get my name always confused at work with you because I'm like, who did you just say, Sayer or Sara? But I am 20 years old. I started following Jesus when I was 16. My life has never been the same since. So It's been insane. It's been a crazy journey. But Jesus is faithful. I'm currently going into my junior year of college, and I'm going to be majoring in nonprofit community and leadership, and then minoring in international studies, which I'm super excited about.
Yep.
And I'm interning at a Lutheran church that is taking in refugees. So they're taking in like 25 new refugees from Afghanistan this summer.
That's so cool.
So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah, and I know through like conversations at work, you were trying to decide like what you were gonna do, I guess, or something, or go to college, or so. What's all that?
Oh my
entail?
gosh, I was so stressed out. Let me tell you, I had nothing planned at all, and literally like. So I have my group of friends, which you've met, one of my best friends because she worked with us. But literally, like high school, we were all going to go to Liberty University because it's like a huge like Christian campus college. We all got accepted. And then we were crazy. We just felt like God was telling us to stay up here, that the work wasn't done up here. And so we decided to stay collectively as a group. And I think Liberty's a great place and I love it. I was going to run track there. I was going to do a bunch of things. I had my whole, like what I wanted to do, like planned out. But it just didn't end up that way. And, so we stayed back and we actually got discipleship, and we had community and we had everything. It just felt like that Liberty, like could offer someone who's just like new to the faith or didn't have those things. And that's one of the reasons I think it's really valuable, like a college like Liberty. But we stayed back. I went to community college for 2 years, which I kind of low-key hated on community college for a little bit. I think it's just like the big idea in your head that you get. It's like you have to go to like a top 4-year school, all this other stuff. But community college saves some money. So I stayed there, just did my gen eds. And then I did my gen eds and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought about social work, thought about athletic training. I considered going into counseling. And none of those like really stuck. And then I was transferring. I was going to go to a completely different college than where I'm attending now. And I learned like I was really battling between that because it was like, what's God's will? It's like I'm so black and white sometimes. But it was literally just like, no, if you go here, you can glorify Jesus here, or you can glorify him here. And he just gives you like the option to do it. So I decided to go where I'm going, and then I met with an advisor and a career counselor, and she asked me what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, I don't really know. I do know I want to be a mom. I want to be married. I want to have kids, but really like I want to be able to like go on mission and like do all these different things, and take it overseas and have flexibility to be able to disciple my kids and all this other stuff. And, she was like, you should look into nonprofit community and leadership. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a major. So that's kind of how I landed there. It was a very big wrestle. But it was a good wrestle.
Yeah. So you'd want to like, or you would have wanted to like travel like overseas. And,
yes.
like, done
that. 100%. The topic actually makes me a little nervous. Truthfully speaking, I like hate the idea of being separate from like my family and like my community.
I feel that,
and it just absolutely terrified me. Like I still get defensive about it a little bit, like still to this day. 'Cause my friends, like they'll push me, and encourage me and be like, hey, you should like you got like go overseas, like go do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'll do it if God calls me to do it.
Yeah.
But I really do. Like I want to do it. And I love like talking to different cultures, talking to different people.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that Jesus has really had to bring me to a place. And I think the root of it is like, I'm afraid of being alone. But like he brought, like when I decided between these two colleges, one of them I wouldn't have been able to really be around my friends. Like it probably like 70% of the time it would have been school and everything. And I like, Jesus literally brought me to a place where I was just like, you're enough. And like, I would still have my friends. Like I would still have my family and everything. I just wouldn't see them as much.
Yeah.
And so the same thing, I don't know. It's just, he's good. Like he brought me to a place to where I was content in that.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So, you were saved at 16.
Yes.
So what's a little bit of a story on that?
I grew up in church. I played the church game. I went to church every Sunday, Wednesday, prayed before I ate. I did literally like all of those things.
Yeah.
I got baptized when I was 10 years old, just like as a promise that my parents had like kept to raise me in my faith. Right. And I also just felt like it was the right thing to do. I didn't do it because, baptism is like your first step of obedience and following Jesus. And literally it was just like my parents are divorced. And so my dad primarily, like we went to church because my mom was always moving. Yeah. She traveled like 35 or 33 weekends out of the year. And so I really went to church with him, and my stepmom and my sister, and my mom moved us up here. She felt called to come up here. Yeah. Cold turkey, didn't know anybody, like no friends, no family, nothing. And then literally, it was just crazy. My freshman year of high school, I like threw myself into sports. I identified myself in track because I wanted to go to college for it. I wanted to do all these things. Yeah. And I don't know. I found my identity in relationships and people. Yeah. And it was just a really hard place to be. And I felt at the end of it, I felt very numb, very empty, very lonely. Yeah. And I just like got to this place where I didn't know what the point of life was. And I would just wake up and be like, God, if this is like it, like if it's just like a repeat of like, you wake up, eat, school, all this, go back to sleep, like same thing over and over. What's the point? And I wouldn't act on, like I wasn't in a place where I would have acted on that, but it just like, it really like kept me going in my mind. Yeah. And then I got invited to youth group from one of my other best friends, and I went 3 times. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. I had an amazing youth pastor. And he showed me what joy looked like, because there's a difference between joy. It was like happiness is circumstance, joy is Jesus. And I was like, you say you follow Jesus and you have something that I do not. Yeah. And I say I follow Jesus and I feel this way. And so COVID hit. Everything just like, that was crazy. Yeah. So I couldn't run track.
You couldn't run track, yeah.
Didn't get to see people. Everything I identified myself in was just completely stripped. Yeah. And it was a very chaotic time. And I didn't seek God out because I was scared. Even though it was like a scary time, I really just sought him out because I was like, there are so many people talking passionately about Jesus, and I'm not. Like, there's something different. There's something missing. And I heard the phrase like relationship over religion, and that like, I didn't really know what that meant. And then, literally, I just lost my place.
It's okay.
I sought him out wholeheartedly. Yeah. I realized that like I didn't have to clean myself up. I didn't have to be a good person. I didn't have to do all these things to make him love me, because in my head I was like, I have to be a good person. I have to check all these boxes for Jesus to love me. But it really is as simple as like, come as you are. And so I just gave my life to Jesus, and I was like, God, like I want to follow you. Like I need you. In every aspect, in every way, shape, form, and fashion. And me and one of my best friends just started chasing after Jesus together. Yeah. And then he just slowly from there built up our whole family. Yeah. And like, that's just like 16 I got rebaptized because it was a choice that I made. And so that's a bit of my testimony. That was long.
That's okay. Sorry. That's really cool. No. Yeah. Well, what else do you have like currently going on in your life that's like, just like, you don't have to answer.
No, you're
like,
good.
Just like, I don't know, that one thing that's going on that you know, you feel like you need God more in that situation, or like something that's like just, I don't know.
Just heavy.
Yeah.
Actually, me and my group, we are just like, I think all collectively walking through a season of endurance. One of my friends just graduated from paramedic school, and just watching like it's just been like work and school like for 2 years straight. And we just went on our West Virginia trip, and just like collectively, we had all been walking through a pretty hard season with just life, and it was just hard to feel God in the middle of that. And so the trip that we went on, actually, it was a girls' trip, but it was so restful to like be able to not have any responsibilities, no work, no school. And it just gave us a sense of like being able to reconnect with Jesus personally and have individual time, but also like collective time together and get into the routines of meeting with our family, because like your heart catches up with your obedience. And so we're just now getting into the routine again of meeting together and having church together and studying. And
I love being able to like gather with like my friends and family and like just talk about
worship.
Jesus and worship. Like my family in the mornings, my dad will be like, okay, it's time for Bible time. Like we'll have like maybe 20 to 30 minutes of like, my dad will read scripture, and then he'll maybe talk about it a little bit, and then he'll ask, okay, like what do these things mean to you? Like what sticks out to you about this? And then he'll be like, you know, what are 3 things that you want to make your goal today? And like, it's just like, it's a good thing that we do that. It's I don't know, it's nice to wake up to. I mean, it doesn't happen every morning, but like having that just Bible time like with my family.
But especially really with your dad leading it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really depends on like who wakes up at what time, because like it varies. It really does. But yeah. I love worship and talking about Jesus.
Have you always sang? Like, have you always?
So I didn't start really singing until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I used to stand in my living room. I would hold like a wooden spoon, and we had speakers. We have speakers on one of the walls in our kitchen. And anyway, we would play music through it, and it was like some worship soundtrack or like some kid CD. And I would be standing there on a stool with a wooden spoon, like singing the words to the song. Oh my gosh. And anyway, my mom has a picture of it. It's so funny. But I didn't start singing until, about 3 or 4 years ago. My best friend, she was like, hey, I think you'd be like really good at singing, because I played violin with her. And we just kind of started like learning how to like kind of sing together and stuff. And they're like, oh, you should play or like learn this song. It was like called 500 Miles by some lady. Okay. Not the one that's like, and I would walk 500. Not that one. It's a different one. But no, it was. Anyway, I did that song, and she was like, you should post it on YouTube. And so I posted it on YouTube.
I'm going to go watch it.
And it's the first video that I ever posted on my YouTube channel. And then, so yeah, I started that. And then my youth pastor was like, hey, you want to like
lead
worship and stuff? He's like, we need some worship people up in here, you know? And I had played piano since I was 6. Classically.
Oh my gosh.
And I did that classically for a while, and then I got to the point where I was like, I can just learn on my own now. Like I don't really need like lessons or anything. And so I started like that's when around the time that I posted that first YouTube video. And anyway, my youth pastor was like, you know, we could use a pianist and stuff and a vocalist and a leader. And I was like, okay, I don't know, like if I'll be that good at it. But it really has been so awesome to like be in my youth group and I graduated from it now, but be in my youth group and like just like, I don't know, like leading these kids in worship for Jesus.
Right.
Like it was was just so, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. It was very fulfilling, I think. I'm not like, oh, well, I'm the leader. I'm up here and I'm singing these words and you should watch me. I'm like, no, like I purely wanted to be there, like worshiping it with these kids. And then the main worship leader at my church was like, hey, we could use like a violinist now. And so I'd picked up violin, I think I was 9 or 10. And my sister started after like 2 lessons. I was like, well, I want to do that too. And so I started learning that classically. But anyway, I started playing violin for like the main service and stuff at my church. And then they found out that I could sing, I guess. And so they started like putting me up there and like leading some of the songs. And I never had like any problems with like singing or performing in front of big audiences. Like for me, it's easier to do that than smaller audiences. I don't know. Maybe it's because like a smaller audience, you have like, they're more focused,
more intimate. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, and then I don't know, just a bigger audience. Like, I don't know.
Is music how you feel close to Jesus?
Oh yeah. I don't know like what I would do like without my music. I do love music and like, worship music is good, but sometimes I feel like the songs can kind of be very similar. And so I get like a little bit tired of it sometimes just because I play instruments and I'm like, it's the same chord progression or I don't know. I'm real nerdy about it. You
sound like Emmeline. You should definitely talk to her because she will listen to something and she hates repetitive songs. Yeah. She's like, this is literally the same thing over and over and over. Yeah. How do you like this? And it's, I love it. Because she sings as well. And she played the flute. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that's cool. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, music is definitely like a way that I really do connect with God and stuff. And like I started writing my own stuff and like worship music, and anyway, yeah.
I want to hear some of this music, Sarah.
Yeah, I know. I really want to record it. I do, but I just don't have a good like recording software. Like I said earlier, I need to buy that $200 thing.
It's a nice paycheck.
A whole paycheck.
Yeah, it really is like, an entire paycheck.
Yeah. So anyway, music is a very big thing in my life for sure. Yeah. So I do connect with God through that. Yeah.
I love music. I love worship music too. I mean, like, I feel like music just has such a big impact on everybody. And it just, I don't know. There's just something about being able to just sing. And I think about like the angels never stop singing in heaven. Yeah. It's literally just like all the time. Yeah. And I'm excited to be in heaven to be able to sing with Jesus.
Yeah, there's this one worship night that I went to. It went on for hours. I think it was with some like of the senior and like college kids from my youth group previously. And I don't know, there was a worship night and it was just like, it was so awesome. And like it went on for hours and it was outside and it was like at a fire pit and like, I don't know, it was just so cool.
That is really cool. I feel like there's something about like for worship leaders, I feel like you said, like it's not about look at me, but it very much so. I could, pride, it just it can go up very quick. But I feel like it's being able to facilitate and like create an environment. I think of like hospitality, and like in hospitality, the word hospital is in it. Yeah, and so it's like being able to like cultivate in an environment where like even non-believers like can come in and feel welcomed. And I think that's a really big gift for a lot of worship leaders because you can tell the difference when someone is on stage and like their heart is in it versus someone who's just singing words. Yeah, and you're not gonna have a great day, every single time you sing. But you can just, I don't know. There's something about being led by someone whose heart is like in that posture of submission to Jesus and like worshiping.
Yeah. It reminds me of another thing. Kind of, it has to do with Holy Spirit, but like, there would be like families or something that we would know that weren't like fully Christian and stuff, but like they would come to our house or like my friend's house, and like they'd be like, the presence like here just like feels so
welcoming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's so cool.
I love that. I know it is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who go around like they'll anoint their house and pray over it because like, no, not to over spiritualize it, but straight up, like there's just a world we do not see. With, like, and it's just like people can bring things into your home, and that's actually what one of my mentors, like we were talking about the other day. But she was like, I want to anoint my home and like pray over it, because we're trying to just like invite more people in. Just like I listened to a podcast from Becoming Somebody who talked about like radical hospitality, and that was a really good one to listen to. But that's how I learned the hospital thing. I thought that was really cool. Okay.
But
yeah, I had somewhere I was going with that, but I can't remember. But yes, there's definitely, you can tell a difference between, I don't know, just walking into certain environments, and sometimes you walk into places like, this is dark.
Yeah.
This is like heavy.
Yeah. I've definitely felt that before. I can't remember like what places specifically that was, but, I have felt that a few times, and I'm just like, I want to get out of here, but I'm supposed to be here for this or whatever it is. But yeah. Environment, Holy Spirit environment. It's good to have that.
It is. It's like discernment. We just watched this movie. This is completely off topic.
That's okay.
It's called After Death. Have you seen it? It's by Angel Studios.
I've heard of it.
But
I have not seen it.
It's so good. Okay. Me and my friends watched it last night, and it's like insane. But that just popped in my head because it's just like, it's all of these different people, and it's scientific. Like there's like scientists, like they did years of study, and it's not, I don't even think it's supposed to be like Christian.
Yeah, biblical.
Yeah, it's literally just like all of these like just factual stats, like experiences that people have with after death, and it's just like insane. Because a lot of them a lot of them will have overlapping things. You can't believe like everyone, obviously, but like some of them are like there's like they like medically were dead, clinically, or like they shouldn't have been able to like recall certain things because they were just like, it just doesn't make sense, literally. But it's just insane because some of them had like just these encounters. There's just one atheist, and he had an experience like with Jesus, and he just like described him as like his best friend. And, but before that, he actually like, it would be too long to like go into all detail, but he had an experience with just like demons almost, and just like hell. And like, he just cried out to God, and he cried out to Jesus, and Jesus like brought him up, and he was just like, it was just insane to me because he said he got, every single person describes like the feeling of God, and it feeling like love and like kindness, and like they don't want to leave. They don't want to come back to earth. Yeah. And he just said he got into the presence of God, and he had this account of like his life, and he didn't have a good relationship with his parents. There's just a lot of bad things going on there. And like his kids, his wife, like just not good all in all. Yeah. And he didn't believe in God. And he said like he just felt like he disappointed God. When he was like before him, he was like, what was my life? Like, what was I doing? Yeah. And he was like, Jesus, like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, send me back. And he was literally going through like torture. And Jesus was like, no, we don't make mistakes here. You don't understand. And he was just like, I love you. And he, it was just amazing. Like then he sent him back, to earth, I guess. He woke up, and it was insane. Jesus just told him to love other people, and like through that there would be this ripple effect of like, when you love Jesus and you love other people, it's a different type of love. Yeah. And like people, I think they just like come to know Jesus because of how you love them, and it was a really cool story. You would like it. Yeah,
I should watch that sometime. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what I had. Two things in my head. Okay. So there are like stories and stuff of like, there's like this one guy that like, you probably heard of it, but like went to hell and then came back, like or something. I don't know,
something of that
like
sort.
that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Like in general, if I believe it, or like hell in general?
No, like what do you think about like that story? Like him, like I don't know the full story, but like it was like in hell, and then like he saw Jesus at some point, and then he came back to. I don't know. It was weird.
It was crazy. It's literally like the After Death movie.
Yeah, that's why I thought of it.
Yeah, I believe God can do anything. I think, I mean, what is hell? It's eternal separation from God.
Right.
And so when I think about it, I think like, I don't know. I feel like, you know, like there's a knowledge above what we can understand, and like why God allows certain, like why do certain people not come back or wake up?
There's a whole different realm of
right.
stuff that we're probably like,
oh my gosh, yes. And like why, I don't know. There's definitely some stories, like watching that movie was just a tearjerker in a lot of areas, and it just made me want to go share the gospel. Afterwards I was like, guys, we have to go. But it's just crazy. I think stories like that, like sometimes God just allows certain people to have certain experiences, and maybe God just like allowed him to have a glimpse of like hell, or just like I don't know, but
it's just crazy. It's like
it is.
It's like for me, like I don't know. It's just it's a crazy concept to like grasp, you know, for your mind to grasp. It's almost like when you think about heaven and you're gonna be there like forever. Like it's so crazy. Like you're like I can't even like you can think about it, but like your mind almost goes blank because of like you just realize that like you're gonna be there forever. Like how is that possible?
I know,
it's so crazy.
It is. I get so excited about heaven, and like it's just like I think one of the things like during COVID there's a lot of fear, and like when I was a kid I said like the prayer like 7 different times because I was afraid of like hell, and like you know a lot of preaching that was just like turn or burn.
Yeah.
And I was just, that just scared me as a kid, like naturally it would anybody. And I don't know, I just like when it was a relationship and I just like pursued Jesus because like that's not his heart. Yeah. Like literally God's heart is for every tribe, every nation, every tongue to know the name of Jesus. Because he like ever since the beginning with the gospel, it's like Adam and Eve ran away from God's design. Sin came into the world, brokenness. Jesus came down, like conquered, defeated death for us, but he still gives us an option. And it just like, it breaks God's heart to see like his children not know him because he's the giver for one of good gifts. And so I think a lot of people, I believed this, like for like Christians or people who follow Jesus, I thought it was like a book of laws, and I thought like it's so boring and you can't do all these things. Yeah. But in reality, like there's a reason for the design. There's a reason why certain things are specifically better in this, like this like sex outside of marriage, like it's better in a covenant, and it's not because he's trying to withhold something from you, and there's no shame in that if you have done that either by any means, but understanding too like the aspect that like outside of, there's no promise there. Yeah. So like you're connecting as close as you can with someone, and then it just like gets ripped apart, and they never made a promise to you that they were gonna like, that you were committed to one another. Right. And so it just hurts more naturally. Right. And I think like with a lot of things, I don't know, it's crazy seeing God's heart for people, and like just for everyone to know his name and for him to be glorified in all things. Yeah. So
yeah, that's really good. Okay, my second question was movies. Okay. So like how do you determine of like what movies like you can watch and like can't watch?
Oh goodness. So I actually had to delete Netflix off of my phone. And I'm going to be straight up. Sometimes I really would just like even re-download it. Like I would make a commitment to do something because I knew I didn't need it. And then I would just re-download it. Like that was social media for a while. But Netflix specifically got to a point to where it was like I was spending so much time on my phone at night. And truthfully too, like there was a bunch of just like not good shows on there.
Yeah.
And whether or not you believe that this is going to happen or not going to happen, putting yourself in a position, like why put yourself in that position to begin with?
Right.
So now I live with one of my best friends, and so I don't watch Netflix by myself.
Yeah.
The only time we watch Netflix is together in the living room.
Yeah.
That's just like cut it by the head, like the root.
Yeah.
Take it out completely.
Yeah.
Movie wise, I think because I've struggled with, I feel like that can be like with music too.
Yeah.
I think
for sure.
For one, would Jesus watch it? For two, it's just like some things like there's cursing in some movies and stuff like that. But I think especially with like sexual content or anything of that sort, like just don't even like allow yourself to be put in that position to even watch it. It can lead a lot of people to temptation. It can, like, for men to like how they're, which it's just natural, like that type of, like a girl can watch a movie, and this is not for all girls, but for a lot of girls, they can watch a movie, let's say some dude pops up with no shirt on, 3 days later they're not going to be thinking about that.
Right.
But like for a guy, if a girl pops up in a bikini, let's say a week later, that image out of nowhere could just like pop into their mind. Yeah. And so like, I think it's definitely important to guard your heart, guard your mind, watch what you're consuming, because what you're watching and consuming, you're meditating on.
Yeah.
And so.
And you might not even know you're meditating on it.
Yes. Like one of my friends just went through like, I don't even know how long. She didn't listen to any secular music for such a long time. And she just now, like we just now on our trip, got to a place to where like we would listen to like a country song or like something like that.
Yeah.
But even girls, like you have to be careful listening. JP talks about it, like Taylor Swift songs or like infatuation, heart songs, or like me and Emmeline had to be careful watching because we watched a lot of rom-coms. And so I think if you're even then in the right headspace, that even stuff like that could lead you, let's say you're married and you're really struggling and you're watching rom-coms and then this false idea of what love is,
it gets in your head,
is supposed to look like, and then you're daydreaming about XYZ. Right. So I think you just really have to be mindful. I think they're obvious, like you shouldn't watch that.
Right.
Or you probably shouldn't subject yourself to watching that because it could eventually lead to temptation or just not put you in a good mindset.
Further damage you.
Yes, 100%. But there are just, I don't know, there are just so many, what length are you willing to go to for a sin to not be in your life or to like stop something. So
yeah, that's really good. Yeah. We grew up like watching some movies and TV shows, but when I got to the point, well, it was just my mom is like, she's not a big TV or media type of person. And I feel like nowadays, like, especially with my sister and like my younger brothers, like their age range, so many kids are like watching these shows and like they have social media and this, that, and the other. And, you know, they just want to like join on that because that's what everyone else is doing. Right.
Right.
But at my house, we're like, we don't like, we're not going to join in on that just because like the younger boys, like it's just, they can go play outside. Like there's so many
100%. Oh my goodness.
There's like so many other things that they could be doing, but the boys would like ask to watch TV and stuff sometimes. And my mom would just like had to get stuff done. So she would be like, okay, yeah, sure. Like you can go be content there. But it got to be where it was too much. And so we just took the TV out.
There we go.
We took the TV out. And and then I did, so we shared a Netflix account with like my cousins and stuff. And my sister and we would like watch some shows together, and like I would be careful and be like, okay, yeah, we're not gonna watch this part of this season, even though like the show is good.
That scared me.
That scared me so bad. Okay, wait. Anyway, what was I saying? We would watch stuff together, and like there's some things would be fine, but then they got rid of the Netflix account, and it just turned out to be better because now like I'm not watching as much like TV anymore, and like I'm spending my time doing like more productive things, and so yeah. But I started to watch more of what I watch, or like just pay attention to what I started watching, because it, like you said, like it can pop up in your brain and kind of dwell, and you get these ideas and thoughts, and they're just, you're kind of daydreaming a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Do you daydream?
Oh yeah.
Sarah, do you really? I struggle with that terribly. Let me tell you that much. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's actually really bad. I have to be careful.
Yeah.
JP talked about, do you ever just like drive and like you're driving on the road?
Oh yeah.
And if it's like a really long drive, then your mind just goes.
It starts running.
Yes.
It starts running.
I feel like I could watch a movie in my head, or like make up scenarios, which is like, it can be fine, but it's not always great.
Yeah. And like, but then like, I mean, this kind of goes along the lines, but when you're like, going to hang out with somebody or going to have a conversation with somebody, you can imagine all these scenarios and things that you're going to say, what they're going to say, what your responses are going to be. And like, I don't know, you can make it up in your head so much, and then you get there and then you're almost like, oh, well,
that's not what I expected.
That's not what I expected it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my friends, she always says it's don't have any expectations, because it's just like gonna let you down.
Yeah.
Which like for the longest time I didn't understand it, but now I understand it.
It's so true.
Yeah. It's like going in no expectations, and I feel like it can cause some anxiety too. Like if it's a scary a situation, and like it's not. It's good to be expecting of like, I know that Jesus is gonna move in this way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it might not look the same way.
You can't make up. I mean, we could spend hours and might not even realize, like, just like imagining and like daydreaming, I guess, about certain things. But like when you get there, it's like, oh,
Yeah. And like, I think as girls, it's really hard to like with daydreaming, because I'm gonna be honest with my thoughts. Like, it just goes a bunch of different places, and as a girl too. I don't know. It just, you can daydream. Some girls, from like a lot of things that I've heard, like with daydreaming, it can be very dangerous, because let's say you like a guy and like, you're waiting to be pursued. Like you're not, running after them, but like let's say like you're interested in somebody, and then you start listening to like all this lovey-dovey music, and then you start allowing your mind to wander to places like, oh, we can have this many kids at this house with this dog and all this other stuff, and then he ends up pursuing another person, and then you're heartbroken. And
you're heartbroken by a person that you probably never even dated.
Yes, and they didn't even know you. It's crazy. It really is crazy, because your mind has a lot of power.
Yeah, it does. It does. For sure.
And JP talks about something I've actually started to do and implement into my mind is like, you do have control of your mind. So it's like, think of a school bus. You can like, you see the windows, you can see, just like picturing it in your mind. You see the tires, you see the little stop sign, you see all that stuff. Now imagine it's pink. You just controlled your thoughts. So it's like, anytime anything like pops up, either use that. For me, I've started like using that as like, okay, God, this is not healthy for me to think about or like meditate on. Please just like help me submit this to you, like turning it into a prayer or just like turning my thoughts somewhere else. It's
removing it.
Removing it.
Yeah. Thoughts can be very dangerous. Yeah.
They can be.
And expectations. You can have high expectations are good, but like you can also be let down by that, because then you think of like, oh, maybe this will turn out this way, and then you're let down by that, and like what you expected of it, but it didn't
turn out that way. I think for me too, I think like expectations sometimes can lead to entitlement, because it's like, if I'm expecting this of this person, I feel entitled to their reaction. And I didn't realize like how much entitlement I had. Like I really, really struggled with jealousy for a really, really long time. That's how growing up, like I was just taught like, that love was jealousy. So it's like in the way of like, I love you more than this person.
Yeah.
You are this to me.
Yeah.
Nobody else matters.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's what love is. It's like, I'm entitled to you only. Like it's just like this. Yeah. And so that played out really negatively, especially just like with my friends. Cause I was like, I felt entitled to their response or their time or something of that sort. But literally I was in my room and I just had this revelation and Jesus was like, you're not entitled to this. Like, this is a gift. If you treat it like a gift and you understand it, that it's like a gift from God, then you don't feel as like that. You're not entitled to that. So,
yeah, I had to learn to like, how to love others, like, equally, I guess, instead of like loving, like say my best friend more than my sister. You know, like I had to learn like how to balance that, because like I do genuinely love my friends and my family, but like I really had to learn like how to treat them equally and not them differently from each other. Yeah. And so that was a learning curve for me. Like I feel like I can like we can talk about that. I mean, just like anything, you can talk about it, but then like actually doing that it's hard. It's hard.
It's super hard.
It is. Yeah.
It is really hard. Because for a long time I was in a trio for a long, long time before God brought along like our other just best friends and brothers in Christ, and it was all girls. Yeah. So that was hard because I was in a trio of girls before I knew Jesus, and that was like you can imagine more of like drama or toxic or like this person's closer to this person. Yeah. But like everything really is different with Jesus. It's just like I've tasted and seen, could testify to how good and faithful Jesus is, because it wasn't that at all. It's hard to be honest, because I had to get to a place too where like I just like told them like why, like my jealousy came from a place of entitlement, and I felt entitled to this thing and to them because of this. And like, there's a bunch of things to unpack with that. But like with family and with like community, Jesus he just redefines everything. Yeah. And it's just, it's amazing to be able to watch how he takes something just like so corrupted or like that could be of the world and just changes it completely. Jackie talks about how like people maybe who love to go out and party and do all these things, it's just like a corrupted form of fellowship. Yeah. Because people really just like want fellowship and community with others. So it is interesting. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
A very good conversation.
Yes.
I did enjoy that.
I did too.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for listening, or if you're watching, you can subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and again, thank you, Sarah, for coming.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Yeah. And anyway, I will see you guys when I get back from Europe in July. Yeah, that'll be a fun trip.
I'm going to miss you at work.
Anyway, y'all have a good Sunday. Thanks for listening or watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode.